Let's see. So today will kind of be first we'll do like a review of last week, and then we will do the new stuff. So uh, so this is kind of the stuff we already did last time. Like we worked with a Python interpreter. This was the Python shell when we did operations like add or print or subtract or divide, whatever it was. So basically, it's an interpreted language. The interpreter provides an interactive environment to play with the language. Results and expressions are printed out on the screen. All that means is that you can use the shell to perform different calculations. So if you remember the print statement, it's a built-in function in Python. All we need to do is write print parentheses, and then in quotation marks we put any words that we wanted inside. To write comments, we put the pound symbol in front of the words. And with variables, we worked with all sorts. So we worked with variables for numbers and strings and lists, so arrays. So it's created when you assign it a value, and basically it's an object. So we store information in the variable, right? So when we were doing the guessing game, we stored the guess as a variable, and we stored the number we were trying to guess as a variable as well. The same with the dice rolling game. We stored the variable, the minimum possible number it could be, as a variable called min, and then another one as max. So everything is an object. So variables, classes, functions, they're all data types. What that means is they're just all objects. So these are things we can work with. We went over integers, right? So these are just basically numbers, except they're not decimal numbers. Floating points, these are decimal numbers. We didn't really go through too much of that, but it's just basically anything that's all real numbers, basically. We didn't really go through complex numbers, so we don't need to worry about that. So numbers are immutable. You can change the value of the numbers, once you assign them as well. So these are just some examples. And then string littles. So strings are immutable. There is no char type, whatever, like in C++ or Java. So you don't really need to worry about what that means. We work with string concatenation. For example, we put strings together, and then we also printed out statements. So we went through substring and other methods that we can use for strings. So, for example, we worked with the pow function for numbers. We will also work with the len function for strings, which just basically gave us the size of the string, or the number of characters. So remember we said len of dictionary, and that gave us the number 10 because there are 10 letters in the word dictionary. And then there's lists. So lists are mutable. So we worked with taking like the first element of the list and adding elements to the list last session. And we also worked on modifying it. So if I wanted to change, for example, if I have a list called x, which is assigned to the values of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. If I want to change the number 2 to 15, I would say x, and then 1, not substring, the first value of x is equal to 15. So we didn't go there. So dictionaries, we went through this briefly. We'll go through these more today. We can delete elements. So this is a summary of all the numbers, all the number types. So we have integers, floating points, and complex numbers. We also have lists, tuples, and dictionaries. We'll go through tuples and dictionaries today. And then raw input, for those of you with Python 3.5, we use input. If you remember, that allows us to take in input as a string and then return a value. So And then Booleans. So 0 and none are false. Everything else is true. And then there's Boolean expressions, right? Like true or false, true and false. So there's nothing much to that. So we went through if statements, right? So remember we said we used these to a great deal in the guessing game to check if the number that we guessed is greater than the number we were supposed to guess or less than the number we were supposed to guess or equal to. So all the setup is just if, and then you have your condition. For example, x is less than or equal to 15. You put a colon, and then the next line is indented. And then we also have else statements, if you remember. Those are just to say else if. So if the first statement is not true, then we'll go to the next statement. And then else is just to check if none of the above are true. And then we have while loops like we used before. So these are basically run as long as a certain condition is true. So here in this example, we have x equals 1. So while x is less than 10, we print x, and then we add x, 1 to x every time so that the loop eventually breaks. So for loops, we went through these as well. So it's just basically saying, for each number in this list, print the number. So there are many different examples of for loops. By the way, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop me if you don't understand some of these while loops or if statements or for loops. And then we'll go through functions later as well. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So for now, what we're going to do is, so how many of you were able to at least do some of the homework? Like maybe you can type it in the chat right here. If you were able to do it, say yes. If you were not able to start at all, just say no, something like that. Just so I can get a better idea of who did it. Or not who did it, but just so that if we need to review it, if you have any questions, then you can let me know. So why don't I do this? So we'll go type it in this chat here if you were able to do it. Either say yes or no. It's not a big deal. I'm not really checking, but just so I can get a better idea if we should go through the homework or not. Meanwhile, we'll go through the rock, paper, scissors game, and then we'll start that now, actually. So at some point, just type it in, so maybe at the end of the session, we can go through the homework. So for now, just open up idle, and then we'll open a new file and paste this in. Okay. So we're going to be starting a rock, paper, scissors game. Basically, before I start the game, I'll just show how it works. And then, okay, so basically all that's going to happen is that we have this rock, paper, scissors thing, and then we'll either say rock, and then it's going to say tie or paper, and then scissors. So it's pretty simple, but it's just kind of a little game we can make. So I want you all to open up, go to idle, open up a new file. So I know some of you last time didn't open up a new file and then typed it all in the shell, and then that didn't work too well. So
Akal, there is a quick question from Soumya. I'll unmute Soumya. Go ahead, Soumya, with your question.
Hello?
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed in the presentation you did like single quotes for the print instead of double, so like...
Okay, yeah, that's not a big deal. So that's just different versions. Like earlier versions, it was like you could just do without the parentheses and single quotes. But from here on forward, this is how it's always going to be set up like this. So it's always going to be this format, like that, with double quotations and parentheses. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Questions? Okay. So should we start?
Yes, go ahead, Akil.
Okay. All right. So in your new file, at the top of your file, we're going to type the same thing we've done before. So from random, import randint, right? We did this before with the guessing game and the dice rolling simulation. So this is just how we are able to use the random aspect in our programs. So once you have that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be creating an array list of rock, paper, and scissors. So you guys should all have the cheat sheet from last time. Let me see if I have it. So if you remember this cheat sheet, it has everything we did last time. So creating, so this part right here is where we create a string array, right? This is exactly what we're going to be doing here. But instead, we're going to be putting rock, paper, and scissors inside of it. So I want you guys to try that. I mean, you can maybe call the variable like possibility, something like that. You can call it any name you want. Let's see what I named it. So I just named it T. So you can put T, like it's a very simple name as well. So just try that, and then we'll come back. So again, so we're creating a string array, but instead of putting names, we're just putting rock, paper, and scissors. Okay, so hopefully you were able to get through some of that. Basically, all it is just going to be a variable called T, and then inside we're going to have rock, paper, and scissors, exactly like this, except we have, it doesn't matter for lists if you have single quotes or double quotes, but I just put double quotes. So that's fine. So there's that, and then, so what is the next thing we're going to do? Next thing we're going to do is assign a random play to the PC user. So when we play rock, paper, scissors, we're playing against the computer, right? So the computer is going to be called PC user. That's the variable name we're going to call. So what I want you guys to do first is set up a variable called PC user, exactly like this. And I will show the next part after that. So I'll give like maybe 10 seconds for that. Okay, so we have a variable called PC user, and what we're going to do is we want the computer to choose a random possibility. So we want them to randomly choose rock, paper, or scissors. So how are we going to do this, right? So we have a list right here, and remember, if we, for example, if I wanted to choose paper, what would I do? I would say paper equals T1, right? Because we have 0, 1, and then 2. So again, as I'm going through this program, if you have any questions, please stop me right then, and then I'll answer your question, because we have time for that. It's not a big deal if you don't understand something, but if you do, please ask a question. So basically, when we have this variable called PC user, if I wanted to pick only paper, I would do T1, right? But instead, I'm going to do a rand int between 0 and 2, right? So it can either be 0, 1, or 2. So it can be one of these threes, and it's one of these three numbers, and it's randomly going to choose one of these. That's what the rand int function does. So it can randomly, if it chooses 0, then what is paper going to, what is the, so choice. So what if it randomly chooses 0, the choice is going to be what? The choice would be rock, right? If it randomly chose 1, then the choice would be paper. If it's 2, then it chooses scissors. So hopefully, if you do not understand anything that we've done so far in this program, please ask a question right now. But otherwise, we will keep moving forward. So there's that, and then the next thing we're going to do is just set user equal to false. So this will make more sense as we go through with the program, but you don't need to worry about that too much for now. I'll explain that later. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to use a while loop to check if the user wants to play. So I'm going to say while user equals false. I'll give like 20 or 30 seconds if some people need to catch up for typing too. Okay, so while user equals false, and then so next thing we're gonna do is ask the user to type in some sort of input. So again, for those of you with 3.5, this should just be input, not raw input, right? So we're gonna have a variable called user, and then we're gonna say user equals input rock, paper, or scissors, right? We're just gonna ask the user. And make sure it's indented correctly. So again, if you want to indent, so like for example, if this line was to be indented, I just have to go exactly right next to it, and then just click enter, and then it will do it for me. So user equals input rock, paper, or scissors. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to check what the user has entered into the computer, right? So we have to execute what we want to do based on what the user has said. So for example, up to this point, all we've done so far is assign PC user. So we've said the computer is either going to choose one of these three, and we don't know, right? Because it's going to choose randomly which one of these it's going to choose, right? Rock, paper, or scissors. And then what we have to do now is we have to check whether what the user has entered is either paper, rock, or scissors, and then execute statements based on those inputs. So I'm going to say if user equals PC user, right? So that's the first thing we're going to check. So if user equals PC user, that's the case that I choose rock, and then the computer also chooses rock, right? Or I choose paper, and the computer chooses paper. Or I choose scissors, and the computer chooses scissors. So basically all it's saying is that we both chose the same thing, and then all we're going to do is just print tie, right? Because that's how the game works. So there's that. Then we also have to check if the user has chosen rock. So we have to basically check each of the three possibilities: rock, paper, or scissors. So if the user has chosen rock and the computer has chosen paper, then I have to print you lose, as in, so we're playing against the computer, so when it says you lose, that means I lost. So like the player, like you who is playing lost, not the computer. So you lose, PC user covers user, right? Because basically if I have rock and the computer has paper, then basically the computer wins, right? Because paper covers rock. So does anybody have any questions on what we just went through? So I'll briefly go through it again. So first, at the top, we imported a random because we're going to eventually use that, as we did right here. Then we declare a list, an array list of rock, paper, and scissors, right? Just 3 words. And then, so this is a string array. This is called a string array. And then we assign a random play to the computer. So it's called we call the computer the PC user. So that's a variable we use. And this statement will, from the array list T, it will randomly choose rock, paper, or scissors using this random function right here. So we'll either choose rock, paper, or scissors. And then what we're going to do is set a variable called user equal to false. And then we're just going to use a while loop to check if the user still wants to play. So the whole user equals false thing, don't worry about that for now. It'll make more sense right when we get to the end of this program. So then we're going to have another variable called user, which uses the input function to ask if you want to choose rock, paper, or scissors, right? So whatever I type is going to be assigned to this variable called user. So if I choose rock, user will be equal to rock. And then now we need to check each statement. So now that we have collected what I want to choose and we also collected what the computer chose, we have to check if the computer and me chose the same thing. And if that's the case, we print tie. Then we use the if and elif statement. So elif, if the user chose rock and the computer chose paper, then I'm going to say, you lose, the computer covers me, right? Or the user, whoever it is. So now that we have that, then else we have to say yay, or whatever message you want to say. Yes, you win, or yay, you win, whatever. User destroys PC user. So basically, if if I chose rock and the computer did not choose paper, the only thing it could have chosen is scissors, right? Because if the computer chose scissors, or if the computer chose rock and I chose rock, then it would have printed tie right here, right? So we don't need to check if in this block right here, we don't need to check if the computer chose rock. Because if the computer chose rock and I chose rock, we would have already printed tie and we would never reach this right here. So because of that, we can just use the else statement. And then this is automatically going to assume that the computer chose scissors, right? And because rock destroys scissors, then we would win that round. So that's how you do it for the rock. Now what is the next thing we have to check, right? We have to check paper and scissors. So now we're going to say elif user equals paper. So if I choose paper, now you can start to see the pattern. What do we have to check the computer has checked? Scissors and rock, right? So I'm going to scroll this down a little bit. Okay. So now we're checking if I as the player chose paper. So if I chose paper, then now we need to check if the computer has chosen scissors. And if the computer chose scissors and I have paper, then who wins? The computer wins, right? So scissors. So then I would say you lose because scissors beats paper, or scissors cuts through paper, and therefore the computer has won. Now, do you think we have? So now we don't have to check paper, right? We just have to check rock, right? Because paper, if I chose paper and the computer chose paper, we would have tied. So then now, if the computer chooses rock, then because I have paper and paper beats rock, I would print you win because user covers, so paper covers rock, right? So now that you have that, I'll show this line right here. Now we're going to say elif user equals scissors. So I want you to try this block yourself. And I'm going to give like 5 or 10 minutes for that, just so that you can try it, and also if you need to catch up on typing. Okay, so uh, hopefully you guys got to try this part. So if user equals scissors, then you have to check if the computer chose rock. And if so, then because rock beats scissors, we would lose, right? So we say you lose, PC user. Destroys user, so that just basically means rock destroys scissors. And then else we have to check if the computer chose paper, and then if so, scissors cuts through paper, so we would win. So then once you have all that, at the very last thing, we need to check if the user, or if we have typed something that is not rock, paper, or scissors, right? So if that's the case, then we have to send the message that that's not a valid play, check your spelling. So it has to be spelled exactly rock, paper, scissors, even with the capital. So now we set user equal to false again. So the loop continues, and then we set the PC user equal to a random play in the list. So does anybody have any questions on anything that we've done? So I can run through it if so, but basically this is the entire program for rock, paper, scissors. It's not too long. I mean, decently long, but not too bad. But the only thing is that you have to make sure that your indentation is correct each time, and that your spelling is also correct. So is everybody done typing? Okay, so maybe can you guys type if you are in this chat if you guys are done typing, and then we can move on to the next thing. So right here. So like If you could just say yes or no, and then let me know.
Please indicate if you have done your typing or not. I can unmute you all for a minute, so you can indicate your status real quick.
We're done. We're done. I'm done.
We're nearly done.
I'm done.
We're nearly done.
Right.
We're done.
Thank you, guys.
We just need a few more minutes.
What is it?
You didn't even do it. You didn't even type the code. I want.
Nirupama, looks like you're having some trouble executing the program. So could you unmute and describe your problem?
Every time that I'm not sure what's wrong with my program, but every time I try running the module, it keeps saying that there's invalid syntax. So I'm not sure what to do.
Let me make you the presenter for a minute so you can share your screen and show us.
Okay.
You should have that presenter rights now. Oh. Akhil, can you see the screen, Akhil? Show that again, Nirupama. Execute that. So it doesn't highlight the line, is it? Valid syntax. Interesting. Oh. 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 In the else if where you're checking for the paper, you need to indent the if, like the same way you did for the rock. So that indentation it requires, the Python requires a strong indentation. Yeah. No, you're good there on the paper, I think. Yeah, there you go. Try that one more. Bring it further more up. One more. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yep. No, Akhil, we cannot hear you. Can you also remove the blank line there right above the scissors? The L spot.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so basically all it is that so where it says if user equals PC user, print tie, after that the elif user equals rock has to be on the same indentation as
The
if user equals PC user. So just move that back, no, back the other way. So yeah, that now and then make it on the same indentation as the if statement from if user equals, yeah. So like one more space, I think. So the elif user equals rock, it has to be on the exact same line as so I recommend, rather than just using the space bar, use the tab key. So move it all the way to the back. So move it all the way, yeah, and then press tab right now. Okay, exactly. And then do that for the rest of them. And then it will fix, it will be easier, yeah. So then there's that, and then, so then the else,
The
that's
last.
not a valid play, check your spelling. Yeah, so the else right there, that has to be on the same indentation as the other ones. And then the user equals false and PC user equals T. The last two lines, make them on the same indentation as those two, or the same indentation as you just made.
I think there is a blank space. Take it all the way to the, yeah, okay. Yeah, go.
Okay, and then, yeah, so I think it should work now. Did it work? So, okay, so when it says input rock, paper, scissors, you have 3 quotation marks. It should only, so I'm going to type it in the chat right now. So it should look like this. So chat here. So it should look exactly like, you can copy paste that if you want, but yeah. Okay, so I think once you fix that, the rest of it should work. So then that's fine.
Yep, I'm giving you back the presenter control, Akhil.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. So the next thing we're gonna do is then work on the turtle graphics thing I was talking about. Just open a new one. All right. So at the very top of your page or your new file, I want you to type import turtle, and then just go up to. So basically, what we're doing is we're using a turtle animation thing. So if I run this entire program, this is. So another very important thing is that do not save this as turtle.py, otherwise it will not work. So don't even use the word turtle, actually, just say anything else. So I'm just saying graphics. So then it basically is an animation thing where you can just do different types of drawings. So this is all, yeah, this is kind of like the entire thing. Just click this. So at the top, type in import turtle, and then right below that, type in, so we're using a variable name, and then we're going to say wn equals turtle.screen. So basically all we're doing is that we are using this turtle animations with Python to create different sort of drawings, stuff like that. So we can change the colors, we can change the directions, and the background colors of this animation. So this part right here sets the color of the background screen. So this stands for background color, and then I'm setting it to light green. And then you can also set the title of your screen to whatever you want. So hello. And then what we're doing right here is we're creating a turtle object called Alex, and then setting the color of the turtle object. So you can, there's multiple different colors. You can do blue, yellow, you can do red, orange. So all the basic colors, you can do any of those. So I'll just put it at blue. And then you can do a bunch of different drawings. So for example, if I want to create a square, you can go forward 100, turn left 90 degrees, and then go forward 100 again, turn left 90, and on and on. So just try these, and then I'll show a couple more things you can do. So also again, if you can, just so I know how much you guys have finished typing, if you could please let me know, like type in here if you've finished typing. or you need me to scroll up or whatever. If you have a question, just let me know so that I know what to do. Okay, so maybe if you guys can unmute just so once you have typed these up to here, if you could run it and then let me know if it worked for you, and then we'll move on to the next parts.
Yeah.
Light green. Yeah, I unmuted everybody. Light green. Kuddidana.
Howdy, people.
Are we done?
Okay.
Guys, at the title of the screen.
Okay, so I think most of you are done. So
Doesn't
these are doesn't work?
It's not working.
Can I have 2 more minutes?
Yeah. So whose is not working?
Boolean dot title.
Oh, there's more.
Hello. Setting it object. ఎందుకు అంతసేపు చూస్తాం Hello?
Someone said that it's not working for them. Who is that?
What's supposed to do? What's supposed to do?
Alex, ఇది
The dog was dancing in this picture. That's for Alex. For sure.
already.
Rima, so I'm going to make you the presenter so you can share your screen.
You cannot share the screen because
Pink color.
we're
అందరిది అయిపోయింది.
There you go. You should have the permission to share the screen now.
ఎంత స్లోగా రాస్తున్నాను వాళ్ళు కూడా అయిపాటికి అయిపోయింది అక్కడ మళ్ళీ అక్కడ ఎందుకు వెళ్తున్నావు నువ్వు ఎందుకంత వాళ్ళు షేర్ చేస్తున్నారు స్క్రీన్ అక్కడ వాళ్ళు ఆల్రెడీ కంప్లీట్ చేస్తారు
కనీసం 4 నెలలు కూడా రాయలేదు.
Rima, can you share your screen so we can troubleshoot it for you and move on? Rima?
Yeah, we are on 2 different laptops, so our programs are running on different laptops, and this presentation is on a different laptop. Because 2 kids are sharing one presentation. We were told to use only one login.
Okay, I see.
So, but the error is like module turtle has no attribute screen.
Okay, so you did not save it as turtle.py, right?
We saved it as turtle.py, yes.
No.
So you saved it as turtle.py?
Yes.
Okay, so what you need to do is wherever you save that file, delete that file, and then once it's in your trash, delete your trash too. Because basically there is a turtle library in Python. If you save the file as turtle.py, it replaces that. That's why I said don't put the word turtle in when you save it at all. So
what do we say?
So basically, like for example, if I save this, so I saved my thing as graphics.py, and it saves into my documents. So you need to go to your wherever folder. So if you saved it into your desktop or your documents, go there and then delete that file that says turtle.py, wherever you saved it to, and then if you're on a Mac,
Yeah.
We are on Mac.
So I deleted turtle.py and I'm trying.
Yeah, so if you're on a Mac, delete it and then empty the trash too.
Trash is right there.
So yeah, that's what. Okay, make sure whenever we use the turtle graphics, do not save it as turtle.py. Otherwise, it won't work.
Okay, it works now. Thanks.
Okay, all right, cool. Okay, so. Okay, so there's that. So basically, the reason I'm doing this turtle graphics thing is because we can use some of the stuff we learned. So for example, here we created a square by going forward, left. A very simple way to do it is to use a for loop like we've done before, right? So you could actually even delete these if you wanted to, but you can keep them also. But the same way we can create that square is we use a for loop and we say for I in 1, 2, 3, 4, alex.forward, whatever amount, so 100, and then alex.left. So when we say alex.left, it's not actually moving, it's turning this many degrees. So if I say left 90, it's going to turn 90 degrees and then just keep repeating. The only time it actually moves is when I say forward. So alex.forward 100 will make it move 100 steps. And then alex.left will make it turn 90. So if you could even do alex.right, right? Because either way creates a square. So try this. The only thing is that your squares will interlap if you have both of these. So if you were to do this, I'd say just delete this part right here so that you can actually, otherwise it'll just overlap on the same lines, basically. But I will just keep it just for the sake so that you guys can have that. So there's that. So just try that and run it, and then so you can use that as well. And so if yours does not work again for any reason, please stop me and then I'll help fix yours specifically. So the next cool thing we can kind of do with this is we can change the color for Alex too. So instead of just moving in a square and then just being done with that, I can actually have this list of colors where I have red, blue, orange, and pink. And I'm using the same for loop except a different setup. So these are both for loops. They're just set up differently. So I'm saying for I in this list. When I say for I, what that means is I is going to be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's going to repeat this 4 times, these steps. So that's how for loops work. So in this case, it's doing the exact same thing. It's saying for color in colors, right? So if you remember from last time, how we set up a for loop is we have like the list here. So that we have an array list that's a string array list. And then here we have the variable. So the variable here is color. I can call this x, x12, but I'm just going to call it color. So I'm saying for each color in this list of colors, Alex.color is going to be equal to that color, and then I'm also going to move. So you'll see what that does when you run it. But so I'll just do that right now, actually. So separate screen. I'll copy all of these. And then here, I'll copy this. And then, so again, so anything besides, just don't put the word turtle at all. So just put it right in letters, whatever. So then, once I run this, you should see something like this. Like, so it didn't show up, I don't know why the first time, but you should see like different colors. So like the first time it's red, and because it's going 4 times and we're changing the color each time, so it goes from red to blue to orange to pink, basically. So there is that. I'm going to click this. So then there's that, and then the last thing, not the last, but like another thing we can do is this part right here. So I'll cut this, and then I'll put it here. So when I run this one, basically the turtle object is just going to stamp, and then instead of going in like a square shape like we did before, it'll go in like a circular elliptical kind of a motion where it so it will just, so yeah, it will go in elliptical motion, and what's happening here is that we have so we have a Alex.shape. We set it equal to circle instead of square this time, or we can do circle, we can do default, and there's a couple others, and then we say Alex.penup. And what that means is that we are going to eventually stamp Alex's image onto our screen. So we made him a circle object. So if I actually took this out, it would actually run the default shape of Alex. So then you would see this right here. So basically what's happening is for I in range 30. So this is another for loop. So we're going from 1 to 30. And for I, so it's going to run 30 times. It's going to stamp, Alex.stamp. That's when you see your image right here. And then size equals size plus 3, Alex.forward size, Alex.right 24. So it's moving right to the right 24 degrees every time. And if you notice, we're increasing the size each time. So like here, the distance between Alex is very small. And then gradually, as you go on, it starts increasing to the point where the size between Alex is this much, right? So really, the point is with these graphics kind of things, it's just a way to show that you can make any shape or any like design you want with the code, right? So I can make elliptical, I can make squares, you can even make something fancy if you get really good at this. And this is all possible through the code, right? So we're using for loops, we're using all the things we learned in the cheat sheet. We're using lists, for loops. We're using built-in functions to title it. So if I wanted to set this to purple, I can do that as well. So if I run this, you'll see a purple screen in the background. So you can basically do whatever you want. I guess the last thing I'll show for this is instead of changing, so it's going to be very similar to the one we did before, but instead of doing the pen up, so I'll have these colors, and then so I'll say Alex.color. Instead of changing Alex's color, I'll change the background color. So I'll BG color color. So you have to look carefully to see what this does, but basically when I run this module, so this kind of blocked it again, but I'll just redo it. So when I run this, you should see that the colors change, right? So because I'm not changing the color of Alex, I'm changing the color of the background color. Each time it's being set to a different color. So I will close this first of all. And then, so I'll have this up right here. So the most important thing is that you have, so for every Turtle program that you do, you need to have these 5 statements at the top every single time. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So these are the kind of the things you need right here. Okay. So these are like the 5 things you need. And then the rest of it is up to you, like what you want to do with it. So I'll leave, if you want to copy these ones down, I'll leave those. I'll be sending you all these files anyways, so it's not like you like really need to copy it now, but if you want to, you can do that. So there's this one as well. So yeah, I'll keep these. So these are kind of like the basic ones. Okay. So how many of you want to keep typing some of these versus how many of you want to move on to the next thing? The thing is, this is all in a file, so I can send you it, so it's not like you need to copy it down right now so you can work on it later. But can I just, like I'm just wondering if some of you were able to at least try one of these things out. So maybe if you can unmute it, and then I can get a better idea of where you guys are at. So
Shreya, go ahead. You had some question? Unmute yourself.
So when I try to run the module, it says that turtle object has no attribute colors.
okay, so what did you save your file as?
T animation.
Okay, that's fine. So no attribute colors. So did you say wn equals turtle.screen?
Yeah.
And then you import it. Can I maybe can I see your screen? So
Share the other screen. There you go.
Okay, so well, so when you okay, so basically the reason for that is let me see. Okay, so so it's alex.color, it's not alex.colors. So you just need to take out the S. So when you say like that's the error basically. So it's just COLOR, that's all. And then also, so in your for loop, so you say for colors in colors, it should just be for color in colors too. So just take out the S there, and that should work. So try it now. Okay, so line 18. So can you go back to your wait, can I see her screen again? There was another error.
Share your screen, I can show you.
Okay, so can you go back to your file thing? So it says for color, so it's for color in colors. So in colors should have an S in the for loop. So no, not that one. So take that one right there. So now try it. It should work. Okay, so yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Okay. So are you? I guess all of you will move on. So we only have like 10 more minutes. So I will do one small thing, and then so basically, if you did the homework, I'll send the solution. I'll post the solutions online, and then we'll go because it was only like one problem. In fact, like we already did the guessing game in class too. So because of that, we will do it. We'll go over that next time with the homework for this time as well, for this week, I should say. So, so I guess for the remaining time, we'll just do a very simple sort of problem, and then we will. I'll send you guys the homework as well. So basically, we're gonna do a program for taking the average. So I actually want you guys to try this yourself because I think we've gone through enough programs. So for this one, what we'll do is, so I'll basically just give you hints, and then it's not a very difficult program at all. So the first thing we're gonna need to do is ask the user to input their first test score, assign it to a variable called test1. So I want you, so where I have the ... I want you to type that line right there. So then the next thing we're going to do is ask the user to input their second test score, assign it to a variable called test2, ... That's where you type your thing, and then ask the user to input their third test score, assign it to a variable called test3. So for now, just try these. It should be fairly simple because we've done this many times. and then I'll give like a couple minutes, or maybe, yeah, a couple minutes. It shouldn't be too long. And remember, so basically, remember, I'll give you a hint. This could be a little tricky. We are the variables are going to be read as integers. So that's very important, right? We don't want to read it as a string. We want to read it as an integer for all of the variables. So if you don't really understand exactly what to do, that's fine, because I'll be going over it. But if, like, I would say look through the previous programs we've done before. For example, the guessing game and those ones where we've used a lot of these things quite commonly. And then just try seeing if maybe you remember what we did to ask the user for input, and then how we assign variables as well. Okay, so hopefully you're able to get somewhat of an idea. But basically all it's going to be is we're going to say test1 equals int input, enter your first score. Sorry. And then right there, and then test2 equals int input, enter your second score. And then lastly, test3 equals int input, enter your third score. All right. So then, now that we have all the scores, we just need to calculate the average. So calculate the average assigned to a variable called average, and then print the result. So if you have any questions, also let me know, so that I can answer those as well. Okay, so pretty simple, right? To calculate the average, we just have a variable called average. We say test1 plus test2 plus test3 divided by 3, and then we just print the average. So that is all we're doing. So once you run it, it should work. If not, let me know. So again, I'll be posting the homework very soon, today actually. And then hopefully all of you can get that done by next week, because that helps a lot towards learning some new stuff. And then we will go over, I will be also posting the solutions to the homework today as well. And then if you have any questions, again, you can email me at the same email last time. So please, if you have any questions, please email me. I'd love to answer. And even if you just want to say hi, that's fine too. So yeah. Does anyone have any questions on anything?
If anybody has questions, please post them on the chat.
So it's not part of the code. Okay, so are we good?
Looks like we're good, Akhil.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So again, if you have any questions, you can email me. I'll be posting the stuff, and then I think that's it. So thank you guys. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Akhil.
Thank you.